So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. Great to have your company. And as well, full panel, Joel with us. I'll give Joel a special mention. Always nice when Joel decides to join us. Good evening, Joel. Are you well, mate?
Good. Yeah, very well, thank you. Are you all good?
Always happy to hear your Huddersfield tones, sir. Mr. Nixon, as always, a great pleasure.
Good evening, sir. Are you well?
Living the dream, sir. And Mr. Sale, good evening to you.
Good evening. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Happy Tuesday. There's only one place to be, 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. And it, of course, is with the Super League Raw community. Not surprisingly, our best, most watched ever show was last week with Derek Bowman. A massive thank you to Derek for giving us that exclusive interview. And also thank you to Derek because today he supported Super League Raw on Twitter. You'll have saw that on our social media channels, really giving us an endorsement. He likes the way that we present. He likes the way that we're honest and transparent. No sensationalism here at Super League Raw. That's what makes us unique. And the only place to go for your rugby league fix throughout the winter. Live as always. Let's get into the chat. Dawn Baker. Good evening to Dawn. Mark Hill's with us. Matt Timms. Mark Smith. He's with us. AD West, as always. Freddie McGilvery. Phil Webster. Carrie Ann's with us. Or Carrie Collier. That's what you do. Oh, it's not Carrie. No, it's Carla Collier. Carrie, I always forget Carrie's second name. It's McLaughlin. Carrie McLaughlin. That's what it is. Rebecca Frey's with us. Craig Force with us. There's that many members now. And I just don't know. I don't know if I'm coming and going. Unbelievable. We'll give more shout outs throughout the show. Get involved in the debate. As always, I say this to you every week, ladies and gentlemen. Do your job. Like, share and subscribe. Press that like button right now if you're on Facebook. Share it right now if you're on Facebook. Make sure you do that. Let everybody know that you're here. And if you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, subscribe because every time we post a video, you will get a notification and you will see what we're all about here at Super League Raw. Just to make sure that all the members on the official page get us. So a little bit of admin here very, very quickly. And then we'll get into the show. Great stuff. There you go. It's in. Right. That's my admin done. Let's get into it. So, boys, there's only one place to start. Only one place to start. Massive, massive news this week coming out of the Castleford Tigers. What a shirt. What a shirt at Castleford this week. Unbelievable. I would go as far to say the best shirt they've had in many a year.
Yeah, I like it.
Really nice. Really nice. There's my old mate. Tex Hoy, giving it the big one. You know, always good. For those who haven't watched Super League Raw before, me and Tex have got a wonderful relationship. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, I have to say, we'll keep featuring the shirts as they come. And I know Hull FC's released theirs as well. But hey, it's black and white hoops. I mean, you know, but that there that you're looking at, Castleford Tigers, what a beautiful. Look at the new seats in the stand. Hey, how many G points is that going to get? And we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. Right, okay. So there's plenty to get through, as always, here on a Tuesday night. We've got a full packed show. Let's start, before we get to Craig, let's start, because I know a lot of people will be tuning in. Again, I'm going to start by giving a massive, massive shout out to Craig Lingard. His first televised interview since his departure from Castleford. He chose Super League Raw to do it too. I can't thank him enough for that. Tonight, you're going to hear from the man himself. No sensationalism, no headlines, just the way it is from his perspective. So you've really got, we're doing it in 3 parts so we can discuss certain parts. We're going to go on a journey with Craig tonight and the boys will get their chance to comment on what happened. Apologies. Yes, it's not live because he's at the Hall of Fame dinner, but we're doing it in 3 parts. We will read out your comments. And like I say, we're going to do it in 3 parts. Me and Craig sat down at 10 o'clock this morning to record this for you. And believe me, it's much what you have to watch this. It's absolutely, you know, we know Craig's an honest guy. This is, again, gold. We had gold with Derek last week. We've got gold again this week with Craig. Right, but before we get to that, I'm sure you would all want to join me in congratulating Max Jowett. We love Max Jowett here at Super League Raw. I think he's a great fullback. And, of course, 500 points in a season. He surpassed at the weekend, which is quite extraordinary. I mean, let's go there for 2 reasons, shall we? First and foremost, from his perspective, but also that man there, Jermaine McGilvery, who's called time on his sensational career. I know Joel will want to pay tribute to Jermaine, and he goes out with a man of the match performance, and who could, hey, I'm not being funny, he could maybe teach Mikey Lewis, the man of steel, a thing or two about goal kicking as well. Who'd have thought that he had that in his repertoire? But yeah, they're for me. A couple of things we just want to say right from the get-go. Greg, I'll start with you. Max Jowett, great player. He'll be back in Super League hopefully next year, and a great. I think that stood since the 1950s. That record, quite incredible. What an achievement from the man.
Oh, amazing! Absolutely amazing. I think when he's played in Super League, we've always praised him as one of those players that does a job week in, week out, and then tends to go under the radar.
Yeah,
a little bit. But I can't wait to. Hopefully, we'll be back into Super League next season. He might find it a little bit tougher to get 500 points in a season next year, but he's a quality player, Max Jowett, absolute quality.
Yeah, and the only thing is though, Steph, he's going to have a bit of competition with a Mr. Josh Rourke next year for that number 1 shirt.
Absolutely, yeah. Rourke's a fantastic fullback, so it's going to be great to see whether one of those moves out of position to get them both in, or one of them's bench warming. But I think it's very easy for people to dismiss this achievement, to say, oh, it was just in the Championship. But when you look at the teams that have been in the Championship and been dominant, i.e. your Hull KRs, your Castlefords, your Lees, Huddersfield even at some point, no one's ever achieved what this lad's achieved in a season. So I think he deserves a massive credit for what he's done, even in a dominant team. It's an achievement to get to that many. So well done from all the Super League Raw, Max.
Absolutely. No better man to give Mr. McGilvery the send-off he deserves. Joel, you must have... as a man who's represented your shirt with distinction over the years, for Jermaine to bow out with a man of the match performance in the final of the Championship, that's a fitting way for a great player to leave the game.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he probably can't tell with Jermaine, but he'll have been quite emotional as well. He'd have really savoured that. He made some lovely comments at the end, how much that he'd enjoyed his time with those at Wakefield, and it's a real shame that Jermaine's not really had enough plaudits that he should have had throughout his career, and unfortunately that's down that he's played at Huddersfield all his time. Had he played for a bigger club, which he could have done, I'm sure he would have got a much bigger send-off and had all the admiration that he deserves. But I think we can all agree that everyone at Super League Raw and everyone that is a fan of Rugby League just admires the man that's Jermaine McGilvery.
Absolutely.
One of the best wingers I think I've ever been able to watch, and I've been lucky enough, and I've got to say this, I've got to watch him week in and week out, and the hard carries for a winger that he's given, the things he did for the fans, the club, all you can say is what a guy. He's just such an amazing human being.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And, let's be fair, for a period there, probably one of the best wingers in the world, let alone in Super League for a period of his career. Let's not forget that. A couple of hellos before we get to part 1 of the Craig Lingard special. Carl Shaw, good evening to you. Paul Boardman's with us as well. Matty Chambers, the gaming goat, no less. He's with us. Good evening to you. By all accounts, Pete Locken just wants us to know that Wigan are massive. Thank you very much for that contribution, Pete. Good man. Keep it coming. Hello there to Freddie McGill. We've already said hello to Freddie. John Wilkinson's with us. Hey up, John. We'll talk about the mastermind a little bit later. I'm going to need a lot of help from the members to make sure that that's done in a timely fashion, because that could be a logistical nightmare. But we're really looking forward to that. More on that if you're joining us for the first time. What's all that about, mastermind? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But everybody's getting involved in the chat. And also a big welcome to our 2 newest members today, Carl Gibson and Matt Timms. Good evening to you. I'm sure you're both watching. Thank you very much indeed for your support. It means the world. The membership is open, but again, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. I know there's loads of people that are tuning in to hear what Craig Lingard has had to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're in an upright position, or maybe actually a little bit of a lounging position. Get nice and comfortable, because this exclusive is well worth watching. Get the popcorn out, tell the dog to shut up, and put the kids to bed, because this is grown-up TV. Here is the first section of my sit-down with Craig Lingard this morning. First and foremost, for doing your first sit-down interview post the news that we've had in the last 24 hours. On behalf of everybody who watches Super League Raw weekly, it's fair to say it's took us by surprise, and I'm sure it did you. First of all, everybody will want to know, how are you this morning? On the other side of the news, how are you doing personally?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. I'm fine. It's you take the personal feelings out of it, and the fact that it's a job that you've lost and it's an income and that sort of stuff. But it's It's professional sport, and that's how it works. I've always said that you leave a job in professional sport one or two ways. One way is that the club want you to leave, and the other way is that you leave yourself and go somewhere different. So it's you've got a 50% chance that you're going to get sacked. And unfortunately, this time I've called heads and it's come down tails. So it is what it is, mate. I'm quite pragmatic about it. It's happened to me before when I was over at Keighley, and and a new board come in there and wanted to go a different direction. And at that point, I maybe took that a little bit more personally. But I'm a little bit older, and I've got a few more grey hairs on my chin, and I can see it for what it is, and there's no hard feelings. I don't hold any grudges with anybody at all like that. It's just unfortunate that's the life of professional sport.
Yeah, I remember when we did in conversation with Paul Rowley, he was quite pragmatic and said, I know that my chair, I'm only in it for a short period of time, and that's of course coaching, isn't it? I think for me, let's start last year, because I want to bring up to the last. I want to try and bring us up to the last 24 hours, and I think the right way to start is to clarify what was the brief last season. We know that you had a very fresh roster, some without Super League experience. We spoke about this when you were last on Weekly. So from above, what was the plan? What were the expectations of 2024 provided to you as the coach by the club going into last season?
Yeah, I want to precursor this really by saying I don't want to, anything I say today, I don't want to make it out as it's an excuse or anything like that, or I'm sort of digging people out, because I'm not. There'll be my sort of honest feedback and my honest assessment on it. And going back to sort of 12 months ago, we knew where the club were at the end of the 2023 season. It weren't a great season, and spent up to cap and finished second bottom with not a lot of points. So it was a really disappointing season. I think the club saw that as a little bit of a bottom of the barrel, really, so to speak. And I think with the IMG proposal coming in as well, it gave the club a little bit of an excuse or a bit of a reason, really, to sort of start afresh and draw a line under it and draw a line in the sand and clear the decks, because they needed to spend money off the field to get the IMG grading, which I think once the news comes out tomorrow, I think it is, that I think there'll be a real good grading at Castleford, and that'll be justified that they've done that. So we knew that the spend will really low. I think it was about 1.5 we spent, so they took 700k off the spend from the season before. So we knew that the players who were bringing in, there were a lot of people that had not played Super League before. A lot of people had not played a lot of Super League. I think 70% of our squad had played less than 15 Super League games. So we knew that we were developing people, and that was the brief. It was to try and get some of these people to come through. And we knew there were going to be people that worked and people that didn't work, and that's what happens when you're recruiting people on the budgets and the salary that we're recruiting people on. Sometimes you get a diamond, which we did with Liam on. Other times you get people that don't quite work out for one reason or another. So our brief was, we're a 3-year project, and year one we're going to be a real tough year. We're going to be difficult, and we knew that. And I know that going into it, so I didn't go into it with my eyes closed. I went in knowing full well it was going to be real tough and real difficult, and potentially a real long season. And it could have been quite damaging for me personally as an individual. From a reputational point of view, it could have been quite damaging, because we could have quite easily lost every game of the season based on the squad that we put together at the start of the season. I think most people had a battle between us and London down at the bottom end of the table, and we never really got dragged into that, which were good. But our goal really, or our aim, was to finish as high as possible, and if we could finish the top of the bottom four, then we'd have probably exceeded all expectations. And I've said this a number of times before as well, that seems quite defeatist, but it's not. Where Castleford were at the start of the season, you can't judge us or them, as it is now, on what's achievable for Wigan, or what's achievable for OKR, or what's achievable for Saints and Wellington and Catalans, because they're in a completely different league to what we are. So what were realistic and achievable for us was to try and finish as high as possible. And if we'd have got to the top of the bottom four, then that would have been an unbelievable achievement based on the spend that we had and the squad that we put together.
Yeah, and let's be fair, going back to Magic, you gave Huddersfield a scare, in that second half. You came flying back at them, didn't you, if we recall, at Magic? Yeah,
we did. But I think that game sort of epitomised our season, really, and it showed what you get with an inexperienced squad, is that you get some good and you get some bad. In the first half, we were pretty abysmal. And in the second half, we were a lot better, but left ourselves too much to do. So, unfortunately, that's what that's the type of squad that we had, the type of individuals that we had, that a lot of them had never played a lot of Super League games before. So just that, I was using it in his scene as an example, that he'd never been a first choice winger before. And even just training 4 times a week, 3-4 times a week, and playing on a week, and then backing it up week in, week out. And he played every Super League game, and I think he played every game of the season, including the cup games as well. So I think he played 29 games in this and played every minute of every game. And you could see towards the end of the season that maybe that fatigue had set in because his body weren't used to doing that for 29 games. And we had a lot of people exactly the same, a lot of young people coming in, like George Hill, who I think's got a great future in the game. He'd play 3 or 4 games and it'd be great. And then his performance would drop a little bit. So as a young kid, you need to take him out and give him a week or 2 off and then bring him back in, because you can't just keep chucking young kids in, week out, because you're going to get that differentiation in performances and what's achievable for them. And with counteract that with a number of injuries that we had to keep people and keep personnel throughout the season. We had a lot of young players in there that potentially played a lot more games than what they should have done. So I think that you mentioned that magic game. I think that sort of epitomised our season really, which was it were very up and down. And but that were expected. I think internally we knew that and we expected that. But yeah, I think for me from a personal point of view, I think we finished from where we started the season to where we finished the season. I think we were a completely different team and a completely different group, and looking more positive upwards rather than down.
Well, experience makes them better players, so you'd expect improvements throughout the season, especially with the game time that those players had. From your perspective, so year 1, the brief was try and finish top of the 3rd tier. Let's call it the 3rd tier. And of course, you were one off that. We'll just Phil pip you to that. But if you were going to mark your own homework, because let's be fair, we're in the IMG era that we're in, sometimes we can do that. If you was to mark your own homework for the season 2024 at Castleford, what would you give yourself out of 10?
Yeah, it's a real difficult one, is that, because I'm always, I think on my own individual performance, I'm more glass half empty rather than glass half full. Whereas when it's dealing with players, I'm more the other way around. So I'd always mark myself down, but I think like with the cold hard facts, we finished higher in the table with more points than we did the previous year on a 700k less spend. So in that respect, it was a successful season. We debuted 19 people, which shows the turnover of players that we got. With 3 18-year-olds come in and play games towards the end of the season, which shows that, again, that was part of our aim, that as soon as we know that we couldn't finish bottom of the table, we want to start bringing these young players in to develop them for next year and the year after. And the 3 that we brought in, I think they've got the potential to have a real good career, and they might play between 6 and 10 to 12 games next season. That's the next stage of their development. So we knew it was always going to be a development season. And that's what it was. And like you mentioned there, the players that we've played this season, they'll benefit from that experience. And again, that were all part of the plan, that if we could get 10, 12 people out of this season that have played 15, 20 Super League games, then at the start of 2025, then you've got another 10 or 12 players that have played in excess of 20, 25, 30 Super League games potentially, and then they are better players, because you are better for the experience. You get used to playing against better players week in, week out. You get used to the management of your body and the management of the workload week in, week out in Super League, and that can only benefit them. And I thought we did that, So with all the aims and aspirations that we had to achieve this year, I think pretty much most of them we ticked.
Yeah, I mean, and people who played the sport, the body needs to adapt, doesn't it? I mean, the hits are bigger in Super League. So, when you take that step up like those players did, it is going to take them 20 games to really get their body into a condition that can take those hits, that can adapt to playing top level rugby league in this country, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I take Jensen Winley as an example. So we brought Jensen in 5 games before the end of the season. The plan at that time was to play him 2, maybe 3 maximum games. And he played his first game, and I thought he was outstanding. So he kept his shirt the week after. And the plan for that was just to bring him back out, because as an 18-year-old kid, you don't want to expose him too much too soon. And I know people say if you're good enough, you're old enough, but you've got to look at the long-term dangers and long-term effects that it can have on these players. And 5 games might not seem a lot for an individual, but at 18 years old, I think he were only 1 week or 2 weeks into being 18, so we were effective just after 17-year-old. But with the number of injuries that we had, he played the final 3 games as well. So we ended up playing 5 out of 5 at the end of the season, which were never the plan. And again, as I mentioned, like George Hill before, that these young inexperienced players, you need to put them in, give them 2 or 3 games, 4 games maybe, then bring them back out again and let them get that desire to get back in, rather than thinking that I'm now a first team regular. So you sort of try to teach them that lesson that you've still got things to learn, and yeah, you've done all right, but I'm just going to drag you back a little bit now, and it keeps that hunger there and it keeps that desire there. But you're also looking after them physically as well. And I think we did that with a lot of people this year, that they played a lot more games than what they maybe should have, just because of the number of injuries that we had to certain key personnel.
Well, if you're not going to make your homework, I will. Let's just repeat what Craig said a moment ago. Improved on 2023 with a less experienced squad and £700,000 less spend. Now, in any business, if you offered any CEO a 700 grand saving and a better performance this year, I think they'd snatch your hand off. So I think on that basis, Craig, I would say mission accomplished for 2024. So you're not going to be there to execute year 2 and year 3. What was that plan? What was the plan? So this, talk us through the 3 years. So the first year strategy we've done. What was year 2 and what was year 3 that you would have been held accountable to had you remained in post?
Well, year 2, we're bringing in some better quality players. So once they got Super League status secured, then the budget would go up a little bit, which meant that you could spend a little bit more on bringing some extra quality players coming in, which I thought we'd started doing. And then you're looking at, can you then finish 8th, round about 8th, and if things go your way and you win a few more of these close games, you've got a chance of maybe snagging 6 in year 2. That were never actually the 100% aim. That it was right, we need to be better than we are last year. So we finished 10, so we need to be better than 10. So 8th or 9th again is a progression and a success, because you can't, for long term success, unless you've got millions and millions and millions of pounds and loads of top quality players come in, you're not going to get that immediate success. You've got to work at it, and unless you're putting them foundations in place, you might have one good year or a couple of good years, but eventually then foundations that aren't there, the building's going to come crumbling down. So we're all about developing these younger players that I mentioned previously. I think we signed 11 or 12 on this season on 2-year deals. So then you're looking at a couple more of them coming through. So Hakeem, Jensen and Fletcher, who played games towards the end of the season, their progression might be, like I said, 6, 10, 12 games next season if possible, or send them out to championship teams and get a full season on loan from them. And then some of the other younger kids coming in and maybe getting them 2 or 3 games, get maybe 4 or 5 of them, but bringing in some better quality players in key positions to develop the squad and bring that quality in. And then the following year again is that means that the budget's getting bigger the year after, and you're bringing even more quality players in. So that year 3, then you're definitely challenging for a top 6 place, and then you're looking to establish yourself based on what you've done over the last 3 years and the development of the people that you've got coming through. That you've got that conveyor belt then of, so some for example, somebody like Liam Marno came over on a little bit of a chance. He signed a new 2-year deal, which meant his contract got bumped up. If at the end of that 2 years he's still ripping it up, his value goes up even more. Then it might be unaffordable for Castleford to keep him. So one of these younger kids coming through, it might be right. It's his turn now, and then that's when the financial merry-go-round starts again. But you've got them conveyor belt of kids and other people coming through. Then so there were a definite 3-year plan there, which I think is the first time in a while, speaking to people who've been involved in the club in a long time. I think probably first time since 2017 that they've had a proper plan about how to develop and move forward over a period of time.
Of course, you'd have been pivotal to that, certainly in the planning stage in 2024. And of course, as we've seen with the likes of Lee and Hull KR, through that progression as well, the culture, the reputation of the club would increase, which allows you then to attract better talent, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think the problem that we've got now is that, and I've said this a few times, I think we live in a bit of a microwave generation now, where people want to take something out of the freezer, stick a fork in it a couple of times, put it in microwave for 2 or 3 minutes and have a meal, rather than putting something in the oven for 3 or 4 hours and letting it cook. I know what tastes better, and you've got to let something cook for a long time for it to be worthwhile and for it to be good. But unfortunately, that's people don't want to see that development over a period of time. But that's what the plan was, and whether you like IMG or not, and I think it gave the club an excuse or a reason to go down that route, because the club needed to make sure that they spent the money away from the playing budget onto the grounds to make the improvements that they needed to make. And again, I was fully supportive of that. The club needed to do that, and I signed a 2-year deal, so I knew that one way or the other I'm going to leave the club eventually. But your aim as an individual is to leave the club in a better place than it was when you found it, and that's exactly the same as the people have got to do who are looking after the looking after the club off the field. You know, if they'd have just kept spending money on the squad and not doing what they needed to off the field, then ultimately they'd have been a championship club and it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So, you know, we're fully supportive of them spending the money away and developing the ground and what they needed to do away from the playing the playing squad.
Wonderful. Well, there you go. Exclusive as always on Super League Raw Weekly. Craig Lingard coming to MasterChef 2025. Right, okay, that's the end of part number 1. When we come back, we're going to talk to Craig about what has happened over the course of the last 24 hours. So there you go, part number 1. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Somebody's already done the QR code. We'll do all that lot a bit later on in the show. The chaps haven't seen that interview before coming on, so they're completely fresh to it. Of course, I knew what was said. Greg, I'm going to start with you. As I said in the interview, 2024, Craig Lingard, Castleford Tigers, mission accomplished.
Yeah, I can't, you know, I'm struggling to see what he could have done better, really, given the budget and the facilities he's got there. And again, that's no disrespect to Castleford or the fans. Yeah, and I think you can see. I think he's hiding it really, really well. But I think I think it has shocked him. The speed of how it happened more than anything I would have thought. But yeah, I thought he'd done a really, really good job last season. He didn't have a lot to work with, and given the injuries on top, you know, he was without some key players for a lot of that season as well. He's blooded some youngsters who've stood up for him, who obviously want to play for him as well. And yeah, it is hard to kind of to think about what more he could have done. Maybe a few games that didn't go their way. You mentioned Magic Weekend, where they could have picked up a couple of more points. I think, is it the first game of the season? They ran Wigan really close.
Really close.
In the first half. You know, games like that might have been the difference between where they finished and 2 places higher up. But yeah, I mean, I loved his microwave analogy though. Absolutely perfect. Look at all the clubs that have got success over the last few, or most of the clubs, let's say, that have got success over the past few years in any sport. There's been a period of time where they've built and they've built and they've built, and finally that success has come. You know, how many grand finals did St Helens lose before they won it? Look at United with Ferguson. Look at England cricket, and you know, Duncan Fletcher. How that they were in the doldrums. They were the worst cricket team in the world, and then Duncan Fletcher slowly over a period of 4 or 5 years built them into the best team in the world. I love that analogy. It sums up a lot of what how to be successful at sport is all about. You have to be patient, I think.
Mate, you're absolutely spot on. Hey, part 2, believe me, part 2, guys, that's coming up in a minute, is box office TV. Let me tell you now, it is really box office TV. Craig talked to me after the interview at length, and out of respect for Craig and for my own integrity, that will remain between me and Craig.
Quite right.
And rightly so. But like I say, even so, what he's actually put on camera is very, very interesting. Get ready for part number 2. Steph, I'm going to come to you. Even less than 24 hours after the official announcement, let me tell you, he knew long before. Not officially, but he knew long. I think he knew long before. 24 hours since the news, I was amazed at how positive he was this morning. And again, I think you learn a lot about a man in adversity, and he came across as a champion bloke there.
Absolutely, and when he was on the show with us the other week, you know what people won't have seen is that he sat on with us till gone 11 o'clock at night, just talking rugby league.
Really midnight.
Yeah, midnight. So we had a great time with him, and the first thing is I'd say what a champion bloke Craig is, and that's not just because he's come on this show. He's a genuine rugby league guy who will sit there and talk to anybody about rugby league. I think this is the first time I can remember for a long time when I've actually gone, wow, when I saw the news, because in rugby league, you generally get a feel of when the time's coming to an end for a coach. This one completely come out of the blue. And I think it's fascinating listening to that interview, because how many times have we seen the Sky graphic this year showing how much clubs spend? And I tell you what, Castleford were nowhere near 1.5 million on that graphic. So just to learn that they were spending £700,000 less than what everyone thought they were, just goes to show how much this guy achieved with Castleford. It's very easy to forget the season they had in 2023. To come in with £700,000 less and to get the team to be playing at some points this season very, very good rugby league. You know, I admitted to him on the interview last week, the week before. I thought they were going to come bottom this year, and that was not for any other reason that I didn't think they had the squad. So he proved me wrong straight away on this one, and I thought he did a phenomenal achievement anyway, without learning that they were actually spending 700k less than the cap. So, like I say, completely baffled by this decision, but I can understand why. It's given me a bit of perspective in terms of why they did that. And from a Castleford club perspective, you've got to see that as a great success in terms of appointing Lingard, finishing 10th in Super League.
Was it 10th? Yeah.
Yeah, better than they did in 23, and enabled them to spend that 700,000 to get to the point where they're going to be announced tomorrow, more than likely as a Grade A club. That is so positive. To come up with a decision to sack your coach at this time for what we don't understand is anything other than they want to just go in a different direction, to me is bizarre. But that's their prerogative, isn't it? As a club, they've got to act as they see fit. But what you can say to Castleford as a club is they made the right decision last year. They did this season, and did everything right to get their IMG gradings up. And Craig did a fantastic job to steer them to 10th in the league.
Absolutely, and as you were talking there, who can forget the Catalan win? I think it was round 18, around about that time, 24 points to 18, when they got off like a juggernaut in that first half. Incredible. Right, I thought he was at the Hall of Fame dinner. He's not. I've just got a text message off the man himself. And this is what, and do you know what? For a moment, this is why we're getting the members we're getting. This is why we're getting more notoriety in the game. This is why we're getting more exclusives, because we do it in the right way and we build relationships. We keep people in the game who trust us to actually present the story as it is, not sensationalized, as it is. Craig has just texted me. And I'm going to read you the text verbatim. As Steph was speaking, he has just texted me. And he said, I'm at Ellen Road, mate, and Leeds are 2-0 up. Life is good again. Hope the show's going well. What a top man. What a top man. Part 2, not to be missed. Joel, I think, the lads have already, both Greg and Steph have said a lot there in terms of the immense job that he has done. I mean, as a fan of a club that, let's be fair, this year, everybody would have expected Huddersfield to be above Castleford at the start of the season, but they ran you really, really close. And you've seen your team go for a really topsy-turvy season. When you hear the brief that Lingard got given and the way in which he delivered it, but not just the way he delivered it, on the field with the players that he had, but the gravitas that he did it with, in terms of always being honest in press conferences, the relationship that he built with the fans. You've probably learned a lot more there in terms of what 2024 inside that club, what their aspirations were. Having heard that first interview, I can only imagine that your respect for Craig Lingard as a coach and as a man has just gone through the roof.
Well, can I just say, I already loved the man beforehand.
Yeah.
I have the utmost respect for him when he was at Batley, when he was at Keighley, when he's been at the championship clubs. And let's be honest, he smashed it. He's done so well. So to hear the things that I heard there, it was not just touching, but it also got me quite angry, because I thought, this man has been essentially given very low playing cards in a poker game. And he's gone and said, look, I'm not going to blame the cards I've got. I'm going to see if I can win and get a few chips away from what I've been given. Any owner that has aspirations for your club to be going big, you not just want, you need people like Craig Lingard in your squad, let alone being your head coach. If he'd have come to Huddersfield at the start of 2024, and I know we can only go by what would have happened, what could have happened, look what he could have won, we'd have been in a much better place. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy that Robbo's got the job, and we're going to press on 2025. And listen, we're going to have a similar season to the 2024 campaign for Cass. We don't really have much more money to spend unless we get rid of some players, which you were seeing. But for Craig Lingard to not even have a fraction of the money that Huddersfield had, and they struggled, for them to finish just one place less than us and run as close as they did in the semis, to me, in the Challenge Cup, it's mind-blowing. How in the world are they not wanting to keep him when he could be alone, the one person who was on board to make the club a success? And you look at that, for me, coming 10th is like being in the top 4. That's how I should be looking at it if I were Craig. So, in answer to your question, Dave, absolutely. I think he's one of the most incredible human beings I've ever heard, listened to. I am dying to listen to part 2. And if Craig is listening to this, please get in touch with Luke Robinson and say that you want to be part of this Huddersfield squad for 2025, because I want you there.
Yeah. Well, there'll be a lot of Huddersfield fans. He ain't watching tonight, but he has said he is going to watch it back. And I've just replied to him on behalf of us all who are watching. Just read this out to everybody who's watching. You are a great man, and I just put the word believe. To which he's come back and said, "Good people tend to find each other." What a legend this guy is. Paul Burns-Williamson there, thanking him for his time at the Tigers. He should be coming back to the Legend Lounge. I couldn't agree with you more. Let's give some more shout outs. Chris Aspin, really gutted for Craig's gone. Loved this season and was invested in his plan. Best of luck to him going forward. Kieran, great name this. Kieran Van der Wal. I hope I've said that right. Terrible decision from my club. Good luck to Craig in everything you do. Chris Hollingshead, kick your shoes off and relax, Craig. He is at Ellen Road. You better not take your shoes off, though, because you won't put them back on again. Cracking job. Did I say that? Cracking
There's
job.
no room at Ellen Road to take your shoes off.
That's true. There's not. We've been there. It was brilliant at Batley too. AD West says his mindset is incredible. And this one is one for me and Greg. It is wonderful to see Andy and Sue Kirk back. When we started 4 years ago, Andy and Sue were there from day one. Bit surprised they're not members, but they've been there since day one. So it's a privilege that they're watching us tonight as proud Castleford Tigers fans. Andy and Sue, good evening to you. They're saying they're a great, humble coach, but times are changing and huge investment is expected at Cass. Absolutely, of course there is, no doubt about it, but I think Craig deserved another shot at this. Mark Hill said, as much as he's been positive, it must hurt. I think there's no doubt about that whatsoever in there. Thomas Messer, Lee fan, baffling decision. What were Cass expecting from him and where did he go now? Andy and Sue came back for part 2. Average age at Cass has dropped in a positive direction. Future at Cass is bright. Yeah, and Lingard was front and centre of that. Andy and Sue, let's not forget that. Steve Barton says it's an absolute shame losing his job. And this is now becoming a feature every week. Let's all wave to Leon. Leon is with us. Good evening, Leon. My mate there, Leon, the Lee Leopards fan who kept me company, is a cracking lad. A future presenter maybe here at Super League Raw. Maybe a presenter on a show that might be coming in 2025. More of that coming down the line. And for those of you who first joined us, we hope you're enjoying Super League Raw Weekly here tonight. Ricky Sale, well known to Mr. Steph Sale, I think it's probably Ella, sign him up as the 5th Super League Raw host. I think he already is. He's going to come on anytime. So we'll be seeing a lot of Craig. I think he had a lot of value 2 weeks ago. And it's going to be great to invite him back many a times next season. He is going to be with us. Right, loads more. Keep them coming. Absolutely outstanding. Even Dawn Baker's saying hello to Leon. Isn't that lovely? One of the members saying hello to young Leon. Right, what we're going to do in between the sections, we're going to do a bit of Super League Raw stuff. So you Cast fans, stay with us because we want you to see what this show is all about. And what we're going to do now is we're going to move just a little bit. We're going to talk about something that for me is really close to my heart over the course of the last not 24 hours, the last week. Now, it's not a loving for Lee. Don't get me wrong. It's not a loving for Lee. It's not. But can somebody tell me why aren't other Super League clubs doing this?
Welcome to our Gold Card membership. This is a membership for those who want that little bit more exclusivity than the White Card membership. Those who want that little bit more of a priority. You get everything that you get with the White Card membership. In addition, you get a signed team photo. You get your replica home shirt of your chosen size or polo shirt, depending on which you choose. You also get your player who's packed your card. You get your very own gold card, which you can show to get 6% discount in the shop and on away games instead of 5%, which you get with the White Card. You also get Leopards TV at a reduced subscription rate of £2.99 per month. You get a gift, which next year won't be a pen, this year was. And you also get the benefits in the members handbook for supplying to all the member benefits. This gives you priority to all other events at the Leopard's Den, and it also gives you access above red and white card members.
Now, I wanted to show that video. And I'm going to be very interested to hear from Joel as a Huddersfield fan in terms of how their membership is rolled out. This, for me, is genius. I mean, the red, they've introduced red this year. And, guys, as rugby league purists, we're all rugby league purists, and I'll get to Joshua's comment in a moment, Reggie. But thanks for tipping me the wink, my mate. As rugby league purists, we love our clubs. We're passionate about our clubs. We love rugby league football. That's what we do. If you become a red card member, and I believe this was the case last year when they first launched at every level of the membership, if you join the membership at Lee this year, you will get a scroll with your own heritage number on it that you can frame in your house. Now, how simple is that? How simple is that? You know, certain boxes, you get an autograph pen and an autograph book. How simple is that? A box to go under the Christmas tree. How simple is that? Now, I'll be honest, as a Warrington fan, I get an envelope that I open up. It's got a message from the coach and I get a card. And the Warrington season ticket's more than Lee's. Can somebody explain that to me? Now, no, this isn't a loving for Derek Beaumont and Lee. It really isn't. If Derek, and I hope Derek respects this, if Lee did something that I felt was questionable, I'd say it. Everybody knows I would say it. But there's no doubting. This is how you launch a membership. This is how you do it. And then you're enticing people to increase the membership over years. I mean, you know, the new tier 1 membership, you get preferential rates for the membership, for the store. You get pretty much guaranteed away game if you want to go to an away game. It's a superb membership scheme. Can somebody, please, Greg, I'll come to you first because Steph knows this inside out. And Steph sent me a picture. It's Steph today, and I didn't show it out of respect because I was too busy and I didn't ask for permission. And I'd never put his girl on the screen without his permission. But Steph today sent me a video of Ellie opening her membership at Christmas last year. And the excitement, especially when she opened the scroll with her membership number on, and Steph said to her, "That's your number now, from now till the end of time." Yeah. The look on her face. This is simple marketing done brilliantly well that engages fans to their teams. As a Warriors fan, when you look at that, are you envious?
I'll tell you what I'm envious of, and I think I said this last week. I think Derek had gone. Derek sort of shot off straight away after the show last week. But I'm slightly envious of the fact that clubs out there have got such proactive owners, such proactive CEOs, and are actively marketing their club. You know, there are some clubs, and I'm not going to mention them out of respect, that do kind of expect the fans to buy the memberships no matter what. And they don't put anything special into it. They don't treat the fans as stars. They don't treat the fans as the people who are the most important people in the game. Let's face it. You don't have fans. You don't have a club at the end of the day. And I think not envious because of what Derek has done in this case, because I know Steph might kind of disagree with me or agree with me on this. It is something that the club has done for a while. Steph, is that right?
It's the
second year, this isn't it?
It's the third year now going into this third year.
It's that there are certain owners, chairmen, CEOs out there who are actively proactive in bringing fans through the door. And if we had more chairmen, CEOs, whatever you want to call them, owners like that who were proactive and knew how marketing worked, then our sport in general would be a lot healthier than it is. And again, that is not blowing smoke up.
No,
Derek's.
We don't really. Yeah.
As you say, if Lee do something that we think's not clever, we'll say it. But you know, the marketing that Lee have done over the last few years, from Centurions to Leopards, the extra revenue that's brought in, you know, it's marketing genius. And there are a few people coming into the chat who don't agree with it. But you know, if things like this bring more and more revenue into your club, put more bums on seats, get you in the headlines, Centurions changing their name to Leopards was big news. It even got on BBC News. When rugby league is treated as a fifth-class citizen by BBC Sport, then I'm all for it. I think it's brilliant.
Well,
sorry for jumping on.
No, you're not. And I'm going. I'm going to bring Joel next because I'm very interested in terms of the the Huddersfield piece. But look, for those who are watching us for the first time, you will soon come to realise that we call it right down the line, and we will argue. We'll argue respectfully. We'll disagree respectfully. That is what we do. And there's been a comment here that I completely have to 100% disagree with, and it's Andy's. I'm sorry, Andy, but it's yours. Treating poor fans as fourth-class citizens? Absolutely not. If you're a red card member and you can only afford to go for 2 games a season, you can become a red card member, get a heritage number, having only committed to 2 games a year, get access to 2 games. That's connectivity. That's not. I mean, what would you rather him do? Not have a red box? Not say to, well, if you can only afford 2 games, we don't want you. The beauty, go and watch it. Go on the Lee Leopard site and go and look at the different tiers. I would argue it's including people, no matter where you are in your earning spectrum. That's the genius of this. Whether you can afford 2 games, whether you can afford a normal season ticket, here's a few extras for you. And if you've got the money where you can invest even more. So, for example, here's one for you. If you're a Gold Plus member, because I saw this tonight, £10 of every Gold Plus member will be put to one side for the academy.
Yeah,
for the academy.
It's a brand new thing that as well. So the membership things is evolving. So last year the red card membership came in. That wasn't in year 1. Red card came in this year, and this is all about there's a package for everybody at Lee. No matter whether you can only make a couple of games a season, or you can make everyone in corporate hospitality, you can still become a member of the club and be valued just as much as anybody else. Yeah. So that's it. And then this year they brought the Gold Plus in. That's based on the back of us being granted Elite Academy. So if you want to support the academy and you get your Lee Leopards TV included as part of that as well, which is £6 a month anyway. So if you're getting Leopards TV, you may as well do it because it's part of the thing. So they're introducing things and evolving all the time with the memberships and to try and become the most inclusive club in Super League. And that's what I believe Lee are doing at the moment with it. It's all about getting the right model for your club and fitting it in accordingly kind of thing. But what I will say is, yes, it's an easy thing to produce memberships. What people don't see is the logistics that goes into producing those boxes. And this is where it is not an easy thing to do. And it's not something you can just adopt, because I've seen how many people at the club to get these out before Christmas, to pack all those boxes, to get all the cards printed and everything put in is a logistical nightmare. But what Lee have got is an army of volunteers that assist Derek and the full-time staff there to get the memberships out. So people like my children can enjoy it on Christmas Day and have that moment of magic.
Absolutely. Carl Shaw there saying he got the red card membership and he was so chuffed. And again, Andy's in the chat saying, no, it's embarrassing. I'm only red your goal. No, as supporters, we just want people to be in the stadium. We want people to become a part of something. And for me, if it starts at red, it could end anyway. It doesn't matter what colour you are. What matters is that the club are including you.
It's now, bringing you into the game.
100%. And we've got some people here in the chat. Who was it? Let me just quickly find it.
Dave, while you're finding that, can I just mention something?
1 second, John. I'm going to bring you in now. Louise Gardner gets an email. She gets an email. So she buys a season ticket, probably spends 200, 300, 400 quid, depending on which club it is. And she gets an email of thanks. This is a box under the Christmas tree with a heritage number. Yeah, I think it's genius. Joel, what do Huddersfield Giants do, mate? I'm going to bring Joel.
Before I do, can I just say my piece on this?
Go for it.
Because I've seen that Andy's put something else on the chat there, right? Why are we putting it about class and money?
Correct.
Let's be honest.
No one knows. No one knows if you're a gold member or a red member or a silver.
Right.
Nobody knows and nobody cares. If you're a member of Lee Leopards, nobody cares what status you are.
Right.
Member of the club, and everyone's got a heritage number. It doesn't make a jot of difference.
But this is my point. So there's a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who is a Giants fan. He lives nowhere near Huddersfield. So on a Thursday night, on a Friday night, he's got a minimum of a 2-hour round trip to come watch Huddersfield play. This year, he's not had a chance to come watch any games because it's so far. But he said If we would have had at Huddersfield, and we did this year, but it came in too late, a red card membership with 2 to 3 games, he would have been able to make it to them 2 or 3 games, not because he can't afford. He might have more money than me.
Yeah.
But the point is, there's some people who are fans of these clubs that are nowhere near and they can't get to every game. So for them to feel a part of the club that they support and they put money into, it's nothing about money. Yeah. This red card, gold, it's wonderful. It's all encompassing. And that's the point. Equality was mentioned in that chat earlier. And that's exactly what Diggs is giving, equality. So let's have an end of that. We're not going to say that it's bad. It's fantastic.
What about Huddersfield, mate? How does that compare? I mean, because I don't know. I know what Warrington do. What do Huddersfield do?
Right. So Huddersfield for years have been very stale.
Right.
We always get. So I've actually had a season ticket for 27 years, and we've always had a letter, and it always has your name on it and stuff, and it's nice, and you might have a little badge and stuff. But come on, which club doesn't do that? When I see that with Eggsy, I think, man, that's amazing. I watched a video of him this morning doing it, and with the red box, and I thought it was wonderful. If Huddersfield could do something similar, you would have more fans coming in. The fact of being able to put a T-shirt of your size in that box, just having the box alone, it's a lot of effort and time gone into it, and that's money within itself. This year what they've done is, I know this is a good thing that they've done. This is something Huddersfield's never done before. They emailed me, all the different sponsors of the club, and said, with your business, is there any chance that you could give any promotional things to the fans? It's been great. My business has gone on their website, and I can offer a discount to people who can show me their season tickets. Now, that's wonderful, but I feel like we're still quite behind the 8 ball here, and we need to catch up, and we are doing, but we need to catch up. Many years ago, I think it was about 10 years ago, we did this thing of £50 a season ticket for those to sit behind the sticks, because nobody sits behind the sticks. And it was great. It was nearly full for the whole season.
Yeah.
But then you find then that the money, because it's only £50, they can't afford to keep that stand open. Yeah. We've always marketed to be the cheapest season ticket in the league. And you can understand why, because we're not the best team in the league. But instead of marketing it as the cheapest, like Degsy said, and I thought it was fantastic, don't go low ball. Those who are real hardcore fans will always pay the money. They'll always pay the subs. Even if it went up by £100, I'm always still going to pay it. Still going to go. So really, instead of looking at what can we do to make it cheaper, add that bit extra money on and add some other little favours in there, just like Derek's done. And I think that's a quality idea.
Well, not just that, and I'm going to close this now because I think we're all in agreement. This is a USP for Lee and other teams, including my own, need to look at this because that is what connection looks like. But the other good thing about this was every single tier of that membership got to vote for their player of the season. And they gave an award from the red card members, from the gold card. I mean, this is genius. It's simple. It's connectivity. And if we want our game to grow, if we want fans to come back year after year, football don't do this. Other big sports in this country don't do this. This, for me, when Derek gets it right, he gets it right. If you've not watched the Derek special, you need to go and watch it. It's available on our YouTube channel. Go and listen to what his ideas are for growing the sport, let alone Lee Leopard. It's eye-opening. It really is eye-opening. If you're enjoying tonight's show, go and have a look at that. Be very mindful of the time, boys. We've got a lot to get through.
I just wanted to quickly say that I think it's really good of these clubs that do this kind of thing to invite Santa's elves to get all those memberships out for the young kids at Christmas.
100%.
To get them in Santa's sleigh every year. I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Steph, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just to go back to the comment about it being elitist, I'd just like people who are saying that to think about the kid whose mum and dad aren't, earning loads of money or whatever, but still gets to open a box on Christmas Day to go to 2 games and still gets his heritage number and still gets the joy of opening that, seeing that they're part of Lee Leopards, and then tell me it's elitist.
Well, I want to finish with a couple of Joel. We've got to move on, mate. I do apologise, but Ricky Sale again because of the increase in memberships. The North Stand is now members only. That's What would Warrington give for a Stell South stand every game? There's a question mark. Yeah. Sarah Gore. Hello, Sarah. First time I've mentioned your name. Love our gold boxes from last year. Kids' faces on Christmas morning were amazing. The local discounts are amazing. Guys, there is nothing, and I mean nothing from my perspective to criticise about this. Derek and Lee are setting the standard on connectivity with fans. And I just hope that you as the supporters, us as what, demand more. Demand more, because let's be fair, Lee is not the most expensive season ticket. And when I see the likes of Dawn Baker, who supports Wigan, who has had nothing but success saying she loves it. She loves it. In a roundabout kind of way, she's saying about her own club there, wish we were doing this. And that's Wigan Warriors.
We want every club in Super League to be getting massive amounts of season ticket numbers. So we're not saying it like you said as a Lee Leopard's thing. This is about growing the game, getting kids engaged, and this is the main point with the memberships. It's the kids' engagement that drives everything in terms of the families attending and everybody else, and that's the point.
And you thought we needed Rugby League to talk about to be passionate. We're going right the way through the winter. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you worry about that. And Joshua Pratt, first-time listener, being a Cast fan, bought me here. A bid farewell to the shoeless god. What a great concept and forum that we have. I couldn't agree with you more. Maybe consider becoming a membership. 3 people have done the QR code there at the top of the screen. We have had a new member whilst we've been in the show, Deb Hasty. Good evening to you, Deb. You must be watching. Massive, massive shout-out to our newest member, Deb. Why should you become a member here at Super League Raw? Well, it's as simple as this. We go 52 weeks a year. We do things that nobody else does. We give tickets away this season, but here's a new one. This is a new one to get us through the winter. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I need our members to help me on this one. We did a draw. We put it out on our Patreon site. We also to our members and onto our WhatsApp group. The draw has been done. This isn't a match up, but it's just a graphic to demonstrate. We are doing Mastermind throughout the winter. We are pitting 2 fans up. We've got 8 pools of 8 at the minute. Could get even bigger. 8 pools of 8. And what's going to happen is 2 fans are going to go head-to-head like we did with Degsy last week. They'll get 3 questions each. If they win on those 3 questions, if they win 3-2, they go through to the next round. If it's a tiebreaker, there'll be a tiebreaker. Each pool is a quarter-final, a semi-final, and a final. If you win the pool, you get a prize. The pool winners will then go into a new competition to be the Mastermind champion of Super League Raw 2024-2025, and they will get a further prize. Nobody does what we do here at Super League Raw. We're passionate about rugby league football. We're bringing the community together. We actually took a load of fans to the grand final. We sat together. We did the same at Magic Weekend. Believe me, some of the members will be posting in a minute telling you it's the best money they've spent. It's not costing a lot. Substitute 1 latte a month and you're a member at Super League Raw, and you get the opportunity every Sunday when it's in season and for the internationals this week to come on the Final Whistle podcast. It's all audio. You get your voice out there. You have a voice. And our members are loving that. They come on with us on a Sunday night. They talk about the rounds and fixtures. We have a great laugh. We talk about the game with passion. It goes out as a podcast. And that podcast is getting more listeners every single week. We are ranked 2 for Rugby League every week. And we've only been going for a year on the podcast. Be a part of it. Do the QR code. Join a community of rugby league passionate fans. Not these people are glass half empty and talk the game down. We talk the game up. This is the greatest game in the world. You are the greatest supporters in the world. So come and join the greatest community of rugby league supporters in the world. Become a part of Super League Raw. And without further ado, I did say part 2 is going to be one not to be missed. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is a little bit on the juicy side. Would you like to hear how Craig was dismissed?
It's going to be interesting.
Here he comes. Welcome back for part number 2. We've looked at the 2024 season with Craig. We're now going to go into the last, I'd say 3 weeks actually, because where I want to pick up, Craig, is, of course, you were a guest with us a couple of weeks ago on Super League Raw Weekly. And, everybody who watched that show, you were buzzing for the new season. You were ready to get yourself into pre-season, so crystal clear from our perspective. At that point, you're oblivious to what is about to come. So how much of a surprise was this? When did you get wind of the fact that there could be a part of the waves coming? And more importantly, how was it done?
I won't say it was a complete surprise. You always trust your instincts, and there were little things that were happening over the last couple of weeks that sort of made me sit back and question things and maybe think, am I putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5? I don't know. And it's hard really to put that into specifics or put it into definite things that you can say, yeah, that definitely happened. But your spidey sense, I think, tingles sometimes, and it was tingling a little bit with me. But like I said, maybe I was looking into too much about it, and there were always the takeover that were happening in the background, and that's what maybe I was thinking that, we're just waiting for things to happen now. We'll get the takeover out of the way, then we can move forward. Takeover happened late last week, Thursday or Friday. I can't remember when it was. And I'd got a planning meeting booked in for Monday anyway with Danny Wilson, director of rugby, to look at things moving forward. Then randomly, I got a couple of messages from people outside of the game over the weekend asking me why I were leaving Cass and what were going on. And I says, well, as far as I'm aware, I'm not. And so I think, what rugby league rumour mills like, a rugby league circles like, as soon as somebody mentions something, it gets out. But I think it'd go out a little bit early, and I don't think many people in the pubs in Cass were too surprised by it, because I think we're already doing the rounds in there over the weekend. And got called in on Monday. Had a fairly short meeting with Danny Wilson, who was giving me the news, saying that the club were going a different way. Martin had taken over the club. He wanted to have a different look. He wanted next season to look and feel different to what it had done this season, and ultimately decided he wanted to put his own coaching staff in place, and that's how it was.
So there's a couple of things there which really upset me. One, why are you finding out through other people? And I think this is something that Rugby League needs to look at in terms of how things are leaked, because I don't think that's appropriate. We're talking about a man who's put a lot of effort in over 2024 to get Castleford to where they are now. Personally, and I'll just speak, me, I say it as I find it, I think you deserve far more respect than that, quite frankly. And the second thing that surprises me, and I appreciate there's a chain of command in any organisation, I'm a bit disappointed that Martin didn't feel the need to speak to you directly.
Well, he's a businessman, isn't he? He's got people that are employed to do that, So that's what your director of rugby's there for. And I guess he is a businessman. He might have been busy. He's got other things to do, and he's got other business interests that need sorting out. And I'm not, like I said at the start, I'm not saying any of this to sort of sensationalise things or make people feel sorry from it. I'm just an honest sort of bloke who was maybe too honest at times. That's part of my downfall, I guess. I don't know, but if anybody asks me a question, I'll tell them an honest answer. And I think, like I said, speaking to people since the event now, a few more people have come towards me and said that they knew they'd heard a couple of weeks back, or they've been told a couple of weeks back what were going to be happening. So that's life, isn't it? That's how things happen at times, and we all know what rugby league's like. You tell one person a secret at rugby league, and before you know it, people over in Lancashire know it, people down in London know it, people up in Cumbria know it. So again, I'm not saying this for anybody to feel sorry for me. It's just pretty much how it is, and I'll move forward. The club will move forward, and I've really enjoyed my time there, and I won't change it for the world.
Yeah, but I mean, we had Derek on last week. We did the special with Derek over IMG and this, that, the other. I'd be very surprised if, and it's a long way off the way that they're performing at the moment, Lee, but if ever the time come where Adrian Lamb was going to be let go at Lee, I doubt Derek could leave that solely to Chris Chester. I think Derek could probably... Yeah. I think Derek.
That's individual preference, isn't it? And how people work. I don't know where Martin was, but that's why people are employed in certain positions to give that news out, aren't they? And again, I'm no grudges to hold against anybody over it. It is what it is, and for me, if he wants or needs to speak to me, then he can do. I'll pick up the phone to him. I'm not going to sulk or hold any grudges or block his number or anything like that, But like I say, it's just how it is. It's sport, and it's business.
It is, yeah. And let's be fair, he's, like I say, where you've left it, I think they've got something to build on. So in that meeting then, you went in there probably having your spidey senses, as you call it, that this could be interesting. When that, and again, I think what we like to do here at Super League is we like to, you're human beings. That's what you are. We're all human beings. So in that meeting, when your fears become reality, talk us as a coach, because let's be fair, these are the things that I think fans don't get to hear of from the horse's mouths. When you're in that situation as a coach, you've got a mortgage, you've got a family, you've got all the rest of it, and you're sitting there and you know in your heart of hearts that you've done a really decent job in 2024 and you deserve a crack at 2025. When that is delivered to you, just walk us through what is in your mind at that moment in time.
I think because I'd prepared myself for it anyway, it weren't too much of a shock. And like I said, I've been there before, and I've learned from that experience. First time it happened to me, I think I was maybe a little bit naive and more reacted more emotionally and took it personal, which I don't think it is a personal thing. I think it is a business thing, and I think if you can separate that from it being personal to it being business, then it makes it a lot easier to deal with. I've got, like you said, I've got bills to pay, I've got a mortgage to pay, I've got Christmas coming up, and unless Santa comes down chimney, kids need some presents putting under the tree as well, don't they? So that needs to happen. But that's the choice that we make. And again, I'm not wanting people to feel sorry for me. It's the choice that we make in professional sport. That I said previously, you leave a club one or two ways. You either get sacked or you move on because you're doing well. So it is what it is, and if it means that I've got to go out and get a proper job again, then I've done that for 19, 20 years. I'll do it again. It makes no difference to me.
Happy days. And just to clarify for our younger viewers, what Craig is saying there is that only Santa will be getting his kids presents this year. He's not going to be able to put his own under the tree. So good old Santa will come to the rescue at the Lingard residence this year. Thank the Lord for good old Santa. Who's taking over? I mean, I don't know what you can say or you can't say. There's a lot of rumour mills going around at the moment. I don't know if anything's going to get announced today before this goes live. But I mean, Lee Radford has been put out there as, I can't see that happening. I think that's probably a little bit of paper talk going on. The smart money appears to be on Danny Maguire, your assistant coach. Your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously you rate him highly because he was your assistant last year. Yeah,
good, very good coach, mate. Very good coach. I can't or don't really want to comment on anything regarding what will or might happen. That's not my remit anymore. And if I spoke to Danny yesterday and told him, look, if you get offered it, then take it. It's not. Again, there's only so many head coach jobs out there. There's only so many assistant coach jobs out there. If that's what you want to do, then throw your hat in ring and get it done and dusted. I've got no thoughts on it, no comments on it whatsoever, mate. It's like I'll keep repeating myself, mate. It's business. Take the personal out of it, mate. It's business.
My mind goes back to when you were on Weekly a couple of weeks back, and I said, talk to me about Danny Maguire, and you said, I don't want to big him up too much, because somebody's going to poach him from me. Yeah. That was it. Imagine if he gets put in as your replacement now, David. You did far too good a job at giving that one. Okay, so there you go. That's how it was all done from the horse's mouth, and I think what's really refreshing is that you've heard there from Craig. He sees it as purely business. There's no animosity towards the club, but very interesting for me personally, as somebody who's interviewing Craig today, to learn that Craig found out prior to a meeting with his boss. I think that's something that all Super League clubs need to look at. Coaches, players, they're all human beings, and as far as I'm concerned, deserve far more respect than finding out through the back door. They should find out first and foremost through the club. And I hear about this throughout the game. And I think, when it comes to certainly people moving on, signings not so much. Rumour mills are signings, okay, to a degree. But I think when people are being moved on, like Craig is being moved on, I just think we need to be better, Craig.
Yeah, listen, I don't want, and this is for anybody else who's watching this that might stick a report on and quote me and take a few words out of something that I've said. I'm not sensationalising this. It don't particularly bother me too much, because it is a sport that lives and thrives on people who want to tell somebody a little bit of information. So if a story's got out there, stories get out there. So if anybody's quoting me or wants to say anything about this, just direct them to the full interview. Don't quote two or three words off me and sensationalise it and make it like I'm throwing Castleford under the bus, because I'm 100% not. So I don't. I just want to put that out there as a bit of a precursor.
Spot on. And I completely and utterly agree with that. You know, again, do your job, do it proper. If you're going to quote Craig on this interview, quote the full facts. Don't just go for the sensationalist headline. Point them to this interview. Let people see it in full. Craig has been very balanced. There's no animosity there. This is how it played out. And he's been done with honesty. So I completely agree with Craig. No sensationalism, please. Let's keep this one clean. Right, that's part 2 over and done with. When we come back, we'll be seeing what's next for Craig. So let's unwrap that one. Right, before we go any further, let me tell you now, if I was the kind of guy that wanted to get a couple of clicks, I would get clicks galore tomorrow. Because what me and Craig discussed off camera would light up the internet. The bottom line is this: it's about integrity. When somebody tells you something in confidence, it's in confidence. He has told me a lot about his, about his ambitions for the future, where he's currently at, this, that, the other. That will remain between me and Craig. Why? Because I want a relationship with Craig in the future. And, this is a lesson for other reporters out there. Today, Craig, to me, because of the relationship I have forged with him this season, has said to me that next season, if he's in post at another club, he doesn't know yet if he will be or won't be. But if he is, he's going to invite me to a training session so that my knowledge of the game increases even more to further enhance this show. What a man. But here's one for you. I will also get exclusive access to a home game at a new club if he gets to a new club, where I will shadow him all day. Pre-game match, pre-game talk in the dressing room, sit with him on the bench. Full access, fly on the wall documentary for Super League Raw. So you people out there who do sensationalism, you don't get that. Think about the way you want to report and do it properly, because that's the way to do it. Do it with integrity, build relationships, and talk facts. Craig Lingard, what a man. Right, let's unwrap it. Greg, should any man learn 2 weeks prior to the bullet that the bullet is coming from anyone but his
No. This is the curse of social media, I'm afraid, and the times we live in. I think sometimes things are leaked in a kind of in a way that they think will soften the blow when it actually happens. You think of David Moyes at United. There were leaks galore that David Moyes were going to get sacked well before he got sacked on social media, and it's wrong. The only people that a player or a manager should find out that his services or her services are no longer wanted is from whoever their boss is at that particular time. And this is the curse of social media and to the society we live in, that leaks do happen. And it is up to the club's media team to stop that from happening, if we're being honest. The club's media team needs to stamp down on these leaks that are getting out there.
Well, this is interesting. I mean, look, we're at the birth here. I mean, Super League Raw, we're 4 years in, but I think we're building a reputation. We've suddenly become on the radar as well in the last few days. We're now on the radar when it comes to rugby league journalism. We've got that. How you conduct yourself is massive in any walk of life. If we want to be serious about promoting our game, the way we conduct ourselves on this show, we will hold people to account. I'm sorry, Castleford, but Craig should not be hearing on the wind in any organisation. That should happen. Let's social. So we will call that out. We will. I don't think that's controversial. It's just good, decent human beings. That's what it is. What we're trying to do here is report correctly, report accurately, and we're getting notoriety now, and we will continue to do that. I have had leaks sent my way this year. I have only ever gone live on Facebook the moment the club has published it, because that's respect. That's what you do. I don't want to get ahead of the story. I'll just report the story 1 minute past they actually do it properly. I'm happy with that. Don't need any more than that. So I think we need to look at the way in which rugby league behaves in that respect. Because, again, you talk about culture. We want to build a culture of a sport, culture of a club. The way you behave is critical. Steph, I'm going to come to you. I said to Craig that if Adrian Lamb ever got potted, for want of a better word, at Lee, do you think that Derek Beaumont will be a part of that meeting?
Well, I'd like to think he would, knowing Derek the way he is. I think the thing what I took from that is how magnanimous is Craig in that interview, and completely honest, because that's the bloke he is. I think it says a lot that I know I'm gutted for him, and I'm not a Castle fan, just because of the bloke he is. And obviously, yeah, people will say, "Oh, he's become a friend of the show." Yeah, he has, because he's a nice human being.
Right.
at the end of the day, it is disappointing, but I think, going off what Craig says, he accepts that it's part of the game, whether we like it or not. That's part of the sport we live in. The point what I agree with you on is we've all seen, we all kind of knew when we had Derek on, there'd be a load of journos going off the back of it. Some have reported it very accurately, but others have took things completely out of context. But this is where it comes down to how we consume social media as well. And what I would say to everybody watching is that whenever you're going to form an opinion about somebody or something or some story, always go to the source and always look at what's actually been said, because we can all twist things. We can all make things, there's so many stories that we could have had on Super League Raw where we could have twisted it to get people to come and watch the show. But we don't want a reputation for that. We want a reputation for reporting the truth, having a good time and a laugh with it as well, but celebrating our game and not bringing it down. And I think a lot of these headlines in the sport are quite negative towards it and can put people off it. So for the people who are doing it, I'm sure they won't give they won't care, what we say tonight. But what will matter is that people who do watch us and do take the time to spend 2 hours with us on a Tuesday night understand that we'll always share the truth and be honest with things, and not sensationalise things when they're not there to be sensationalised.
Spot on, mate. I put a post out last week, no clickbait on Super League Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a safe space to go for rugby league news, just join Super League Raw on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, because what we do, if we get an interview like that, it's verbatim. There you go. We've given you the content, and we will only ever share on our social media reputable sources, them being Super League, Sky Sports, the Rugby Football League, or the actual sites of the teams themselves. We don't need to do anything more than that. We're here to promote facts. Absolute facts, and then we'll have a debate, because from those facts we might agree or disagree, like we've done tonight. We'll debate that, but we will report it absolutely right. That's our commitment here at Super League Raw. That's why you need to keep it Super League Raw, the #1 destination online, and maybe consider becoming a part of the community, because that's what it's all about. Joel, I'm going to finish with you on that segment. From that second segment, what were your takeaways from
that? For those who live in and around Yorkshire, you'll know what I say when I say Craig is a true Yorkshireman. The way he speaks, the way he talks, it very much reminds me of my older brother. I think that Craig is a very honourable man, and it is very frustrating when you see these clickbait links happening. They use certain words and twist them. I'm telling you now, whoever's listening that is thinking about making any of these clickbaits, when Craig is saying that he is genuine about his responses, he really is. I can tell when a true Yorkshireman is telling the truth and when he's not. And Craig is definitely one of them. He really means what he says. He understands that this is just business and there's no more to it. Craig's been in the business a very long time. And the reason why Craig has decided to have the trust in you, Dave, that he has, and that he's enjoyed having this back and forth, and from the text tonight, you can see that he clearly respects organic people, and that's how Super League Raw has been built. It started out as two friends who wanted to talk about rugby league, the sport that they love. I joined from getting. I got Facebook because of you two, of Super League Raw.
It's our fault.
Yeah, I was never going to have Facebook. I got it so I could get involved, and I've then joined. Steph has joined, and we've got this great, wonderful family. And I think we all view each other as brothers. We love each other very much, and everyone else that comes a part of it, they're not fans. We're friends. Every single person in the comments, genuinely, we love you to death. We really do. When we've got to speak to you at the stadiums and at the different times we've had the curry night, it were absolutely wonderful. And clearly, Derek Beaumont, Craig Lingard, and the rest of them, they can see true organic people, and that's how it's grown, and that's how it's going to stay.
And it doesn't matter if you're not a member or if you are a member, there's no entitlement on Super League Raw, just as much.
Exactly.
I have to say, Andy, mate, some of your comments tonight have made me really scratch my head. Love you dearly, Andy. We love everybody's comments, but Andy, mate, if you want to be in the dark ages, there's a couple of podcasts I could say to you that you might want to go and watch because it's right up your street. We're glass half full. We want this game to increase and improve. There's nothing wrong with what Lee are doing, Greg.
And Joel, can I support that? And even the Wigan fans we're friends with as well.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Dawn and Craig and the likes who'd have thought that. But but you've seen that there.
A joke, boys.
And they know it's a joke. Debbie, our new member tonight, she says give him an honorary membership. He has already got that. He's already got it, Debs. Is anybody else going to join tonight? Lots of people in the QR code. This is the place to be. Super League Raw Weekly every week. You can see what we do. We're passionate about it. We call it out. We call it straight. That is what we do. Absolutely outstanding stuff. Really, really loving it. And as you'd expect, Dawn is booing you, Greg. She's not happy about that. Right. We're going to go to part 3 in a minute. You Cast fans, Craig has got a message for you all in part number 3. We put a post out that he was going to be on the show. I read a couple of those to him, and all of the nice ones that are in the chat tonight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all together and I'm going to send them to him because I think it really is important. Yeah. It's really important that Craig understands not only Cast fans but the wider Super League community how much respect we've all got for what he did at Castleford last year. And I think there's a part of us that feels sorry or probably not the right word, hurt for him a little bit in the way that this has come to an end. So what I'm going to do, because again, the sensationalists don't care what Craig thinks. I care what Craig thinks. So I'm going to package up all of your lovely comments and I'm going to send them to him tomorrow. And I think when he has his morning cup of coffee in the morning, he might just put a little bit of a spring in his step. And you've made that happen by watching us tonight and by putting those comments in the chat. So thank you very much indeed for doing that. We have had a comment in the chat asking when the Aaron Moore in conversation is coming. Well, here's another little trailer for you, just so we can catch our breath before part 3 of Craig Lingard. Because you're probably more critical of yourself than your reviewer is of you, because that's the way we're built, isn't it? How does that affect you in terms of, because you talked about making that transition and your mate saying, what are you doing this for? Did you ever get to a point where you've watched a video review of yourself and gone, what am I doing? I'm never going to make it.
Yeah, and this is the thing again of people with referees thinking we're not accountable. When we watch every call back, there's no one more than ourselves who wants to get them calls right. So yeah, I've had them times where you've looked at a game back and you thought, what am I thinking there? How have I come up with that? But that's how you learn. And I said to any of the young lads now who are coming through and reffing League One champ, you need to make mistakes. You need failures to improve. And that's how you learn and you become more resilient. When I said to you earlier about 3 things, one of them's resilient. Gosh, you have to be resilient to come through as a ref because you have so many stumbling blocks along the way. But yeah, your coach as well might then say, oh, it's been a disappointing game for you. And it's not great. It's not what you want to be. You want every game to go well, but that's what builds you as a ref.
That is quite an interview. It really is. Seeing it from, yes, that is an empty chair. Mr. Sale is running back.
Here he is. Here he goes.
It's a great interview, guys. Now, look, here we go, straight off the bat. Next Tuesday goes to next Friday. Work commitments dictate that we have got a bit of a gap between now and the next live Super League Raw. However, for the members, Aaron Moore's interview with myself will be hitting your inbox tomorrow. That's right, the members get it tomorrow, and next Tuesday, so that non-members get something to watch next Tuesday, it will be uploaded onto YouTube for non-members on Tuesday. Next year, those rules might change. I'm just going to give you a pre-warning on that. But until the end of this season, those rules will remain in place. So the members will get a week in advance, and then it will go next Tuesday in place of when we're normally live on a Tuesday. You'll get the Aaron Moore, and then we will be back next Friday before that second test against Samoa for Super League Raw Weekly. I think I'm right in thinking I've left it to Steph to sort out. I think me and Steph are going to the England game on Sunday.
Yeah, I think we are.
He looks a bit like
I've not decided yet, but we will do.
He's obviously going to have to get a bit of work done between now and then.
I'll frantically just buy tickets now. Hang on.
If you see me and Steph around the Brick Community Stadium on Sunday, come and say hello. Apologies from Greg and Joel. They've got other commitments.
I would be there, but it's my eldest daughter's 21st.
It most certainly
I have a very, very good reason for not being there.
You have indeed. So, yeah, come and say hello to me and Steph. Who knows? We might even have little people with us. Maybe Ellie and Dar. I don't know. We'll see. We'll wait and see. Or maybe Steph's just having a bender with me. Anyway, there you go. So, yeah, the Aaron Moore, that's next Tuesday, 8 p.m. on YouTube. The members get that tomorrow. Liam's already put his hand up. He wants to do one now. I mean, little brother's done him out of it, so he now wants to be getting involved. And just so that you know, Series 2 is going to be coming out throughout the winter, and these are just a couple of the faces that will be a part of Series 2. You want to be a part of Super League Raw. We're going places, guys. Don't you worry about that. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Right, okay. We now come to part number 3. This is the heartwarming part. This is where we show Craig a little bit of love in terms of the great job that he's done at Castleford. And also, he has a very special message for the Castleford Tigers faithful. The third and final part of this exclusive with Craig, and we're going to end on a little bit more of a high. Of course, we've gone through the disappointment that has happened over the last 24 hours, and we feel disappointed for Craig here at Super League Raw because we believe he did a great job last year and deserved a crack at 2025. And there's a lot of people who share that. So what I want to do is I just want to basically go through a couple of these for Craig. It's fair to say that the cast public really took to you. Which I think is a real credit to you. Not many coaches can leave a club where the fans are on side, which I think is interesting. You think of I think of other parting of the waves recently. You don't tend to get that. Judith Shaw wishes you all the very best. Judith says that you are a great coach, and along with other fans, she's very sorry to see you go. A lot of people wishing you all the best of luck. Barry Wass is one of those. Guess Hecklers just wishing you luck. Caitlin Cartwright, sad about Craig going. I would have liked to see him complete the so-called plan. Just gets me how he was a part of that and then he's suddenly not, which I think we've already covered. But there's a Castleford fan who wanted you to complete the project, which is nice to see. More sorry to see you goes there. Paul Gluck, he's hoping that you don't come back and bite them on the bum, which could happen. Let's be fair. I think you've got a massive career ahead of you, and at some point it could be that you look and go, we got that one maybe a little bit premature wrong. Let's hope that is the case. And then also in there, which I think was a really nice one. I've just got to go and find it now because I think I've moved too quickly. There was a guy who talked about, there it is, Eddie Garlick. Good name, that, Eddie Garlick. Hey, he'll be on MasterChef, will you? Good luck, Craig. A great coach and always was honest with us, the fans. How do those type of comments make you feel?
No, it's great, mate. It's I think as a coach, you've got to have a connection. You've got to have a fondness for the club, and I think every club that I've been at, I've tried to do that. I've tried to get to know the supporters and put myself in their shoes and what would I want to see from a team that I'm following. And I've always been approachable. I've always offered myself to speak to people and try and make time for the sport. Because certainly I would have found myself. I grew up as a kid watching rugby league week in, week out, and when a player taught to you as a 10, 11-year-old kid, it made you weak. So people work all week, and the main thing that they've got is rugby league, and that's ultimately what Castleford is. They've got the rugby league, and if I can spend a little bit of time speaking to people and be honest with them and have a chat with them, and take photos or do whatever it might be, then that's ultimately my responsibility as a custodian of the club to make sure that these fans keep coming back. And if I've done that and I've had that connection with the fans, which I believe that I have, I'm pleased about that. I think 99.9% of the interactions that I've had down at Castleford have always been positive, even on the days when we haven't been great and we've never played poorly. And it's the Castleford public really took to me. Again, 99.9% of them took to me. You're never going to please everybody, and I know I weren't everybody. I guess I weren't anybody's first choice to be the head coach down there. But hopefully they can see that the effort that we put in, and like I said earlier, hopefully the club is in a better place now than it was when I started my tenure as head coach.
You're relatable, that's it. All that Rugby League supporters want is to feel connection. And I think, many videos last year, you at full time, even in defeat, going around thanking supporters for coming out, taking time to have selfies, etc. That's what it's all about, mate. That is what it is all about. We said before we came on air, the word honesty. Were you too honest on reflection about the Castleford project, maybe? And would you change that going forward, or will you always be the man that you've displayed at Castleford?
Yeah, I think maybe I am too honest. I've not developed, so I don't think I've got the politicians answering me. And if that's a detriment to me, it's a detriment to me. I can't change who I am, and I won't change who I am for people just to for want of a better phrase, toe a party line. I'm not that sort of person, and hopefully that's what makes me who I am, and that's what gives me that connection with my players and the staff that I work with, and the supporters who follow the teams that I've coached. I'll always be me, and if it means it gets me into trouble every now and again, it gets me into trouble. But I think it's important for me that you can be as honest as you can be without upsetting people. And I've never go out to upset anybody deliberately, and if I ever did upset anybody, it weren't a deliberate thing. But some people ask me a question, and I have to answer it honestly, and if I don't want to answer it honestly, then I'll just look. I don't want to go any further into that, and just leave it at that.
Which you demonstrated over who potentially might take over. You might already know, but who knows? You've done the right thing because that's for the club to announce, and rightly so. So that's exactly that. For me, again, we go back to the attendances. We go back to those messages that we've just had. I think what you've demonstrated is that conduit between board and fans. And I think the fact that so many fans are sorry to see you go shows how much they respected you, how much that honesty. Because let's be fair, those fans, yes, it's 15 points, but it's not a lot of wins. They could have easily have down tools and give you a load of abuse. That never happened. And I think that was because they had a deep respect for you. I think if they didn't, it probably would have got a bit sour and they wouldn't be the way that they are on your exit. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so, mate. And I think that's where the honesty certainly helped. I think if we'd have gone into the season and just not give the fans any sort of inkling about what the project was and what our vision was. You can have a project and it might not work. It might fall on deaf ears, but I think as long as you're honest with it and you give the fans the information. Look, this is what we've got in mind. This is year one is going to be this, year two is going to be that, year three is going to be that. Then I think they'll accept that. I think if you keep your cards close to your chest and they see that the playing budget's gone down or the actual the squad quality as a whole has gone down and they're not seeing where the money's going, then I think that's when things might start to turn sour. But I think because as a club, not just me, but the club as well, the club were quite honest and open about what year one of this plan were going to be and the money needed to be spent on the ground. I think because we were honest, then the supporters got on board with that, and I think that certainly helped right at the start of the season when we lost six on the bounce at the start of the season. There was some poor performances in there as well, but I think because we've been honest with them and let them know there were going to be some bad days before it got better, then I think they gave us that little bit of leeway. And certainly the conversations with the majority of fans that I had that were in attendance at the ground, because I think a lot of comments that you'll get will be from people who don't actually go to the games. They'll sit at home, watch it on TV, and it's easy to put a comment on a social media site without actually being there and understanding what the process is and what's going on. But like I said, the vast majority of conversations that I had with people, even after bad defeats, were, we understand what's happening, we know where we are, but we appreciate what's going on. And I think that was really, really appreciated, not by me really, because it was a difficult time last season, and we knew there were going to be some bad beats, and for the fans to have that understanding for pretty much all the season certainly made my job a lot easier.
Outstanding. Right, before we get your message to the Castleford faithful, because of course you'll want to speak to them directly. But before we do that, I just want to go to our membership for a moment, if possible. Ian Judson, one of our members, he says that you should join the Super League Raw membership in your downtime, and I've told him you're out of a job. Is what I've told him.
I'm unemployed now. I'm
exactly.
I'm signing up Dole tomorrow. I need to get some money in now.
But actually, Super League Raw have said, since you've got nothing else to do now for the next couple of Tuesdays, the fans want you back on Super League Raw weekly. So, there you go. That's one for you to maybe consider.
Listen, Craig, I'll come on any time you want me, mate. I've no issues with that.
There you go. You heard it here. Craig loves a bit of Super League Raw. He'll come whenever we want, and we will have him back throughout the season.
Can't beat a bit of weekly, can you?
Pardon, you can't beat a bit of weekly. You can't, mate. You can't. Joe Dalgreen, Warrington Wolves fan is Joe. He's followed your career from Batley. I reckon the decision from Cass to let him go sends them backwards. High praise indeed. Wish him all the best in the future. Would take him in the backroom staff at the Wire in a heartbeat. He's even selling you to the Wire, Craig. What's all that about?
I need an agent.
Joe could be the man. Joe could be the man. Simon Shaw, another Super League Raw member. He's definitely gained a lot of respect from the rest of Super League. He's got a lot out of the group when you consider they are massively under-resourced, and it was his first Super League job. I'm sure he'll have a lot of interest from other clubs. That's nice from Simon.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's nice from him. We've also got Dawn Kirkby, a resident Hull KR fan. She's mad as a box of frogs. If you ever meet her, she is bonkers, but she's beautiful and she's lovely. Can you ask Craig if he's going to ditch the unlucky bucket hat? Are you going to keep wearing your bucket hat, Craig?
Oh, of course I am. Yeah, of course I am.
Good man. She said you might be able to auction it off.
Funnily enough, I actually took it. I took one of them to. I went to the Castleford Tigers ex-players dinner last Sunday, and I took one. I got asked to take one through there as a bit of a raffle, but I think it was a booby prize, to be fair. So that's where one of the bucket hats I've got. I think it was the last prize claimed in the raffle.
Well, we have got Super League Raw Live coming on the 21st of January in Warrington. Hey, if you're free on that night, by all means, come along. Maybe send me one of those bucket hats signed in the post, and we'll do exactly the same on that. Yeah. And then finally, Craig Forth has sent us one. You've done a fantastic job on a shoestring budget. Most clubs will be looking at him should they need to fill a role. So they're non-Castleford fans. And I think, again, I want you to read you out from our membership, because the first set of they were Cass. They're non-Castleford fans. How heartwarming is it for you to feel the love from the wider Super League on the job that you've done?
Yeah, it's great, mate. It's always nice to hear positive comments, and and I'm sure for every positive one there'll be a negative one flying out there somewhere. But it's really appreciated that I think people can see that the effort were there, and what we achieved were realistic for what we had, or maybe over realistic for what we had at the club last year. So like I say, I'll always be honest, and I really appreciate the comments from people, the kind comments, and just thank you very much.
Oh, no, not at all. Thank you very much, because like I always say, the players provide the entertainment. You coach them to provide that entertainment. So, on behalf of everybody who watches the great game, it's people like you that give us the sport, which is why Super League Raw always pay it back to you guys. Right, Craig, your opportunity now. The Castleford Tigers fans might not have heard from you post the news yesterday. So over to you, your message to your Castleford Tigers faithful.
Yeah, just thank you for all the support and welcoming me with open arms down there. I'm massive in rugby league, and it's been part of my life and the history and the heritage and stuff like that. But until you're actually at a club like Castleford and you understand what the club and what rugby league means, it's hard to explain. And I said really early on, one of my immediate impressions of Castleford were when I was driving through Castleford Town Centre. And pretty much every other person who were walking down the street had some form of Castleford Tigers gear on, which just showed me then, as I was driving through, how important the club is for the community. I thank you. Like I said, thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for the conversations that we've had. Hopefully, it's the the sort of appreciation I feel for you has been reciprocated as well. And hopefully I get down there for a couple of games in future, and people don't throw any pies at me or chuck any pints of beer over me, not like that, and we can have some more conversations. But thank you for all the support that people have given me down there during my time down there. Made me feel really, really welcome. And like I said, I don't leave the club with any sort of bitterness or a sour taste in my mouth whatsoever, and that's partly down to the really warm and positive welcome from the spectators.
They will miss you, Craig. They will miss you. So in closing, as the great philosopher Berry once said, I want to see the sunshine after the rain. Let's talk sunshine. What next for Craig Lingard? Do you want to get straight back into coaching as soon as possible, or are you going to be taking a bit of time out? What's the plan?
Well, I've got bills to pay, haven't I? So unless I go out and get another proper job, then I'm open to conversations. But like I said, I'm not desperate to jump into the first opportunity that somebody gives me. It's got to be right for me financially. It's got to be right for me. I guess ambition-wise as well. I don't want to just do a job for the sake of doing a job, because that you don't really commit to it. Then you don't give you 100% effort to it. You just go through the motions. So it's got to be a project that excites me. Whether that's as a head coach, whether it's an assistant coach, whether it's as in a different role behind the scenes away from coaching at a club, I don't know. I'm open for conversation to see what opportunities are out there, and I'll speak to everybody who's got an opportunity to see if it fits with me and see if I fit with them, and we'll take it from there. But there's been no conversations as yet with any club, so my phone's free to ring.
I'm sure it will ring aplenty. Look, I mean, Craig, first and foremost, on behalf of the old Super League Raw community, so much love for you giving us this exclusive interview. I found it really eye-opening. And like you said earlier on, it's the horse's mouth. Let's not sensationalise this. It is what it is. Tell all your friends about it. Get away from the gutter press. Let people understand the link to this YouTube production. Go and send that to your mates. Let them listen to what Craig has said verbatim. And you heard it here as well. Craig will return to Super League Raw. He's already said he'll come anytime he wants. I would like you to have a little bit of time. Just put your feet up, take stock of what's happened, and then maybe once that phone's rung and the right project has come along, maybe that's the time that we bring Craig back when he's smiling once more, and you can tell us about your excitement around your new project. That might be a good idea. What do you think, Craig? Fancy that?
Yeah, sounds good to me, mate. It's always great to come on. Yeah, it's great to come on here as well. I think you do things the right way. It's always a pleasure to come on here. I think you can have these honest, open chats, and like I say, hopefully people who are watching this from other organisations don't just take little snippets out just for a little bit of clickbait, and they can actually direct people to the full conversations and understand what's been talked about.
Craig Lingard, on behalf of everybody who's watching this evening, best of luck. Keep your chin up, mate. You'll be back before you know it. Craig Lingard, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
What a man. What a man. There's times when me and Greg, 4 years ago, shocking production, two lads having a chat. There's moments when you sit back and it's almost quite emotional that somebody like Craig has entrusted us to do that interview with. It really is. And, I want to thank everybody who's watching tonight. I want to thank the membership, because this is a team effort. It's not just about me, Greg, Steph and Joel. We've all got ourselves to this position. The reason why we're getting notoriety is because you care enough about our game of rugby league, that you care enough that you want it done the right way. And that's why you watch us here at Super League Raw. And like I say, I as I'm watching that, I'm just, forgive me, I'm just having a moment, because I'm thinking, wow, for us to suddenly be accepted for what we do, because that's what this is. It's an acceptance tonight. We saw Derek last week. We saw Craig this week. Craig wants to come again. There's more people in the melting pot that want to come on within the game. Lads, on behalf of me to you, because without you, I don't have a show. I need people to bounce off. Without the people who are watching, it means the world. And what we're getting now is we're getting real good quality, in-depth content, and it's only going to get bigger and better. There's a moment there, Keith Beadle in the chat. I will come to that, Keith. I will come to that in terms of that was a question he asked. We'll come to that in a moment. So I've done that to remind myself that Keith asked me a question that I said that I will put up. So we'll come back to that. Lads, in closing, a minute each. Greg, I'll start with you. You've seen Craig in 3 parts. Sum it up. Just sum it up.
Top bloke, genuine, loves the game, has been hard done to. And I think, as Andy put in the chat, really, really not good that Castleford allowed him to say goodbye to the fans. So we've let him do that, and you've let him do that, Dave, which is commendable, mate. Well done. Great interview, great questions. I think I don't think it'll be long before he's back in rugby league, either as a head coach or on a coaching side of things. If he fancies coming to coach the Warrington Wolves women, I'll welcome him with open arms.
That's a can of worms. anyway, Steph asked you the same question, mate. I love the fact that you don't know what's been said there, because you've seen it like the people who are watching for the first time tonight. What's your take out from that interview tonight?
Yeah, I just think he's. I think honesty's come up quite a bit in this show tonight, hasn't it? And what an honest bloke. Fair play to him. I mean, for anybody to lose the job and then to come on if we did that in our lives, no one would know anything, But obviously that's the world Craig lives in. But to come on a show like this and speak when it's so raw is commendable. I'm really glad that we've given him the opportunity to speak to the Cas fans tonight. But also, we've also got to remember that it's Castleford's as a club. It's their right to do what they see fit to move forward as well. And nobody's saying this is the wrong or right decision. What I would say is it's so unusual for especially fans of other clubs to be so surprised about a decision. Because like I say, normally when a Super League club a Super League coach gets sacked, we normally see it coming. And I think that's probably the shock factor with this one, is that everyone's seen him doing a great job and it's a bit of a surprise. But we've also got to remember, like I say, that's Castleford's prerogative. If they want to go in a different direction, they can do. But from the interview we've had, I don't think anybody could argue Craig's a fantastic bloke, and I'm sure we'll see him in a coaching capacity, whether that's in the Championship or in Super League or whatever. We'll definitely see him around. And the main thing for me is that he's been able to put his side across and also say goodbye to the Castleford fans in a really respectful way. He just come across as a fantastic bloke, didn't he? And I don't think anybody, including our members and people who are not members and anybody watching tonight, will agree with that.
Joel?
I think when the saying "real recognises real" comes to the fore here, clearly Craig is a top bloke, and you can see a top bloke in you here, and that's a compliment to yourself, to what you've done here at Super League Raw. But for Craig, I think anybody who's watched this interview would want to be Craig's friend. I think he's just one of them blokes that you can't not get on with. And it's almost like a loss for us all, isn't it? But we've got to realise that, Craig is such a bloke and such a good coach that this is just a very small blip in his chapter. And the next chapter that opens, I'm sure, is going to be a great one. What's one club's loss is another one's massive gain. And when Craig watches this back, I think he's going to realise just how much he's loved by the whole rugby league community. And we all would love the opportunity to be able to speak to him and just thank him, really, for what he's done for rugby league and what he's going to do. And it's such a privilege to be able to be part of this tonight, to be able to, say a little piece about Craig. And he's not been part of any of our clubs. But for us to have such fond memories and thoughts of him and speak as highly as we do of him shows just how much of a bloke he is.
Well, all I would say is that people probably can't see it, but I've actually got tears in my eyes. What Joel's just said, this has been a magical day for me personally. To get that from Craig, to get that from Joel, Steph, Greg. It's been a journey, boys, and we're getting somewhere. This is a great sport, great people. And
You're setting me off, Dave. Stop it. You're setting me off.
It's a pleasure. Honestly, though, it's a pleasure to be growing this community, to be doing what we do, the way we do it, the manner in which we do it, to be getting to where we're getting to. It just goes to show what good is all about. If you do things right, eventually it comes good. We're coming good. And yeah, thanks to everyone. So anyway, why I pull myself together, because I'm going a bit here. You don't get this sort of a podcast here.
I'll tell you what.
I know, yeah, I know. I know. Jeez.
This is raw.
Well, it is raw, but it's touched me, what Joel's just said. So there you go. Lads, over to you. Discuss that. You can read the screen. Yeah, over to you. Read the screen. Have a chat about that way. I'll pull myself together.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a difficult one, I think, that in terms of because one of the things that football grounds do is bring that quality. I think, in terms of it actually has a football ground. Hull FC have one, don't they? Wigan,
Huddersfield,
yeah. It's one of those, but I think the argument with the football stadiums is, are they too big for Super League at this moment in time? I think that's probably the main one.
Yeah, it's a good point, that, Steph. I think the only kind of positive with having football stadiums is they generally have the capacity to hold the big international games. So I remember going to watch Great Britain versus New Zealand at Huddersfield, and it was incredible to see not a single seat available. But the great thing about it was it is such a big seater for rugby that it was a sellout, and it held a lot of people, 24,000 people, and the sound throughout the ground was unbelievable. When you pack out the John Smiths, it does sound incredible. Yeah. And there's been very few times I've heard it, but when I have, it's been quite amazing. So I think for the spectacle of trying to promote the rugby league sport that we have, to host international games, I think is a great opportunity. And to have them football stadiums, I think would be a little bit unfair to downgrade. But maybe what might be good is potentially having an extra point or extra bonus points given for those who have the own grounds.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's a way of doing that, but that would be a possibility, wouldn't it?
Balancing it, Joel.
At the end of the day, if you asked Huddersfield fans and Hull fans, would they love their own stadium?
Yeah.
You would say yes every day of the week.
Well, we're getting one, and we're really happy about that. Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point you make about the internationals. Why are we going to play to non-rugby league playing football stadiums when we have football stadiums that host rugby league teams when we have the World Cup? Why are we going to places that don't care about rugby league when it's a World Cup? Let's play them in rugby league grounds, and when a rugby league club is hosted by a football league club, play them there.
Yeah,
fill the grounds. Let it look good on TV. Fill those grounds, and again, going back to Derek and his plans, the sport will grow.
100%.
Fabulous. Well, look, guys, that brings another. I'll put myself together now. That brings another show to an end. Look, it just shows to show how much it means. This sport is in my heart, and we have done a great thing tonight where Craig is concerned. We've shown heart where he's concerned. Thank you to every member that has become a member. Thank you for putting your faith in us to do Super League right. We can only get bigger and better as a community. If you've scanned that QR code tonight, if you've sampled Super League Raw for the first time tonight, if you've been sat on the fence thinking should I or shouldn't I tonight, then hopefully you've seen why this is the thing to invest in. We care. We absolutely care. It's in our heart. We want this sport to be the biggest sport it can possibly be. And it can only be done with a glass half full mentality. That's what you've seen tonight. Glass half full, showing respect for the people that make the game what it is. Carla, I echo everything you said. It was our privilege to have you with us on the grand final. We want more people next year. We want to almost be able to do a mini hospitality with our members next year. Guys, it's the price. It's not even the price of a latte. It's nothing to be a part of this community. WhatsApp group, the mastermind, everything that's coming. Trust me, the members say it. Dawn Kirkby said it in the chat earlier on. I probably won't be able to find it, but Dawn says it's the best decision she's made this year. She's got a new family now. That family is the Super League Raw family. She's going to games with people that she's never met before. She's outstanding at what she does. She's loving being a part of this. Come and join us. Remember, we will be back, not this Friday, a week on Friday. Remember, this Monday, you can download the Final Whistle podcast. We will be getting together on Sunday evening. It might be a bit later because me and Steph are going the game, but we will be discussing the England International in full with our Team Talk members. Become a Team Talk member. You can come and join us, and we will be back a week on Friday to review that game, to review Game 2, and who knows, we've found things to talk about tonight. We'll probably talk about a lot more as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of us all, and on behalf of Craig, don't forget, I will send him all your messages. Make sure you tune into Super League Raw Weekly next week. From all of us here on the show, thanks for watching. See you
Can't
next
be the better weekly.
You can.
Peace.